already been a ride to
It
get
has.
here,
It has.
but it's now about to be quite the journey for us. So don't be too concerned about the destination. Just enjoy the journey.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I just feel so honored and privileged, really, to be a part of such an esteemed group. You know, like you guys are amazing. You do great work in community. I have to share Terry, a father of two, but the founder and creator of Positive Image. So you're going to have to share with us what that is because everybody needs to know. And then we have Guy Bowling, who's been rocking it on the father tip for like, I mean, I'm not trying to age you, bruh. But it's been some decades.
Yeah, just a few.
He's been holding it down for dads for a very long time and now has his own organization, Citizen Father.
Yeah.
And so I would like to start, Terry, with you telling us a little bit about Positive Image and how your organization was created.
Well, that's a great question. I started Positive Image back in 2004. And it started, to be honest with you, it started out of a transition I was having in my life. I was going through a divorce. I just moved here. I was here maybe 3 or 4 years. Didn't have any family here, and I had to do something. And as I began to have some counseling and things of that nature, the word positive just stuck. And everything I was told to do was just do something positive. And so the word positive image evolved out of that. And I just began to do work within the community. At the time, I was working for Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, I think. I was doing some health fairs in some of the nearby churches. So that was a natural fit for me in that space because I was already doing work. And then just spurred out of control as far as just dove into the gap that was happening in our community. So it went from health fairs to we started doing the galas with the father-daughter dance, and then a mother-son dance, and then the men's summit. Then I do a Top Golf, and then I do a Father's Day weekend celebration. Then we had a night of giving that we did for 10 years as well. It was a fundraiser where we had coats, hats, gloves, and had a nice little social event.
That's how I met you, actually.
Yep, absolutely. And so I still have pictures from way back then.
Oh
as
my
well.
gosh!
Yes, and so it's just been just doing the work and just being a person of service to our community, and that was my way of getting back, and it was a way for me to heal as well. So that's how it all started.
I love that. And I want to make sure that I don't skip over the fact that Terry mentioned that he was going through a divorce and that led to you actually finding something that you felt was like a purpose and a passion for you.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we have to heal through finding a purpose, something that you're passionate about. You have to lean in. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is when you serve other people, your healing becomes a lot better. Because what you'll find is there's some people out here a lot more sick than you.
Yep.
So your healing process is kind of speeds up a little bit. In the same process, you're doing good work, and it takes your mind off of all the pain that you're feeling, whatever trauma that you're having or drama that you're going through. It kind of heals that for a second. So that's what it did for me, and I just can't believe I've been doing this for over 17 years. It's just unbelievable. And then I met this Guy Bowling, just doing the work, and he was like, "Man, what you trying to do? Get in my space?" I'm like, and so me and Guy, so me and Guy have been rocking for a very, very long time. And the Fathers Project Guy was probably the second destination I went outside of Stair Step Foundation. The next step was going to see Guy at the Fathers Project. So Guy's been doing a lot of great work.
I love it. And I knew that synergy, which is why I was like, look, these are the two I need on the show today. So Guy, please tell us about Citizen Father. I know a lot of times when we hear Guy Bowling, we think of the Father Project, but it's 2024.
There you go.
And we got something going. And we need to know about Citizen Father.
Yeah, thank you again. Thanks for having me. I think part of what Terry was just sharing, I think we all come to this work on one level or another, good or bad, based on things we've experienced. And sometimes that bursts something within us that we say, hey, we want to do something. We're not always sure what that means. And so some of the trials and tribulations that you have to go through to figure out what's your role in that because I think we all have tremendous gifts and talents that we all have been given free for something bigger than us.
Mm-hmm.
It's our job to identify what that is, develop what that is, and then deliver it to the world. That's my opinion. Working in the space of fatherhood and being a part of the field of family support since the early 90s, dating myself, but it's all good. I get these gray hairs, honestly. But part of what the Citizen Father came about because I was doing fatherhood work on the ground level, and I was doing, in the trenches, part of the struggle, working with fathers, low income, who had barriers to being involved in the lives of their kids, both emotionally and financially, which caused me to develop the program at that time, Father Project, that I was director of for so many years, working in the community on behalf of those men and families and kids. And then ultimately, after doing that for so long, I realized that the fathers that I was working with were in crisis. It was something that was preventing them from being there for their kids, and they didn't realize, or they didn't think that there were any resources out there for them. So a lot of times they come in the door and say, "Hey, help. I'm not sure what to do. I'm about to lose my mind because I want to be connected to my children. I always have wanted to be connected to my children. I'm not sure now that I'm up against this system. I'm not sure how to navigate this system. And so you're a resource, or here you're a resource." And usually they came in because something had impacted their ability to function. And that's usually when they walk in the door. I can't just take it. No. And by that time they walk in the door, they got all this stuff bottled up, all these feelings, all these emotions. And by the first time they talk to you and they're in a comfortable space, and I'm pretty sure you know this, Alysha, as well as Terry, they just let it out. They let it out. And they won't stop talking. Right? Because finally somebody's there to listen. And so running and managing and implementing the Father Project for so long, I went off to then create something called the Citizen Father Foundation. And what that is, that's a leadership development program for fathers that are not so much necessarily in the crisis mode, but these are the fathers who have gotten through the crisis mode, overcome and eliminated or reduced the barriers, and now they're stable. And this is more about investing in them to sustain that stability, to continue to be on career paths and just personal paths and journeys to be leaders and give back to the community. And so that's what that organization is all about. Not that I don't still get calls from the community on fathers in crisis. Then I refer them to the crisis folks. But I also wanted to continue to sustain them as far as what they was able to accomplish. And now how do you keep that once you get it? And then how do you don't respond back in the way that you once did when you were in crisis, but now you got more options and more choices and you can handle it better. So that's how the organization came about.
I love that because this is nothing but a leader building other leaders. 100%. And that's what we need. We need to be doing more of that. So thank you guys so much. The wealth of expertise and information that is sitting here right now, we're about to go in. So I want to talk today about co-parenting in the Black. And the reason this topic is really important to me is in the work that I'm currently doing at the Price Dynamic, we oftentimes see a lot of younger Black men coming into our organization who have children by white women. And when you talk about this system and feeling beaten down by the system, they come to us, and not only do they feel beaten down by the system, but they also feel now like the person who I thought I was in a relationship with or I became a parent with no longer feels safe with me, doesn't feel comfortable with me, and is actually turning me away from what I feel proud of doing, which is being a father. And oftentimes we don't realize how important fatherhood is to men and how it is really one of the things that brings them back. That is, that sense of identity and security when you are facing what the world does to you. When you have your child to help you be rooted and grounded, and then that's taken from you. So I want to dive into what people might be experiencing and what type of advice and or skill we can lend. Terry, can you share a little bit about your own personal experience?
Yeah, this is it's going to bring back some some memories because my daughter's mother just passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to
She
hear
just
that.
died in a tragic accident.
Wow.
A month ago today.
Wow.
And I'm going to try to share with you, for the sake of young men that may be going through these type of situations. I have 2 daughters. Oldest daughter's name is Alysha. My younger daughter's name is Taryn. One's 26, will be 27, and one's 18. That'll be 19 next month. I went to school at Morehead State, played basketball and coached basketball there. And I was leaving school. Me and her mom was dating, and she got pregnant, and we ended up getting married. I did a job, moved out to Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, for a while, then Kansas City, and then I came back to Minneapolis. And just to kind of give you some back end, so this was over 17, 18 years ago. So this has been a while since we've been removed, as far as marriage and that sort of thing. But one of the things I would share with any young man that may be going through this situation, where they meet someone maybe of a different race, a different culture, whatever it may be, and you try to make things work. My mother and father have been married for 56 years. I come from a family where I had a father and a mother that's been doing this thing for a long time. So it was ingrained in me, this is what you should do. So it wasn't an option for me at 20-something years old. What you're gonna do? This is kind of the
What
thing
you
you
gonna do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so I was with that. I said, let me try to make this thing work. And I think that's what you ought to do, if the situation allows for that.
Yep.
And so, things didn't quite work out the way that I planned, or the way that she had planned, or the way that we had planned. And so we ended up getting a divorce, less than 10 years in. And we had my daughter to raise. I think she was under 10 at the time. And that part of leaving my daughter was the most dramatic thing of my entire life.
Yeah.
I love hoop. I love my parents. Love her. But when you bring life into this world, and she looks like you, and this is part of what you created, it tore me to pieces. And so when it didn't work, and I had to make it work, and I remember vividly, and I was telling the story earlier.
Yeah.
I called my father. I was living here in Minneapolis when we got divorced. I called my dad. Said, "Dad, I'm thinking about coming back home to Indiana to live." And we had a conversation. And my daughter, we knew we was going to separate. So at the time, she was going to have my daughter. He was like, "So, let me ask you a question, son." And he said, "How much is your daughter worth to you?" Guy. It was a long pause on the phone, right?
Yeah.
And I knew exactly where he was going. He said to me, "How much is your daughter worth to you, son?" He said, "Son, how much is your daughter worth to you?" And I said, "Dad, I get it."
Yeah.
And I remember that feeling now. There was nothing or nowhere I would not do for her.
Yeah.
So it was just, we can go on. I can go on and on, but I'm gonna let Guy elaborate.
Yeah.
But to say the least, you stay in the trenches, you try to make things work, it don't work, and you become a co-parent, and you co-parent. And I would say that you do everything you possibly can do as a man, as a father, to be responsible for the birth that you brought into this world.
Yep.
For young men, that's what they don't understand. There's going to be hard, but it's not impossible, right? It's hard, but it's not impossible, right? And you have to be taught by other men. That's what some of our women don't understand that's raising our boys.
Yeah.
They have to allow men to tell them boys, young men, this is your responsibility. That's the voice you need to hear.
Yeah.
He hear from mama.
Right.
It ain't the same.
Yeah.
Because now he's a father. He need to hear from a man like, look, man,
Get it together.
This is what you got to do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be all right. When you pour over him and tell me it's going to be all right, then he can kind of, but I'll let God go ahead. God can go. This is. I can talk about these things now because I'm free of everything. Being that my daughter's 26, and you know that feeling, God, when you feel free.
100%, especially as a father of a daughter, who's soon to be 24.
Yeah.
Wow.
Avery is her name. She's actually headed into her second year of law school at Columbia University.
Congratulations,
yeah, absolutely. But one of the things that stood out for me is when you said that, your father said to you, how much is your daughter? What is she worth? What does she mean to you?
Yeah.
And even up until that point, you had been with her, you had spent time with her, you obviously had parented her up until that, and you had your father in your life.
Yeah.
But it still took that moment for him to help you and show you to realize this is your responsibility. So you already knew where he was going with it, right?
Absolutely.
And where I was going to go with that for men, and I think you might have said it earlier, Alysha, is that in order for us to have that kind of feeling and that kind of bond and that kind of connection to our own children, because we don't have the luxury of birthing them, breastfeeding them, nursing them, and then having them grow inside of us. That's where the bonding comes in for mothers, right? For the most part. Our bond happens for us psychologically during the time of the pregnancy to a degree.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really happen until the baby's here and you spend time with that child and you have a relationship with that child and you bathe that child and you interact with that child. That's when the relationship and the bond forms. And over time, there's nothing you won't do for that child. But you have to spend time with that child. You have good intentions initially, right? But if you don't have that opportunity to develop a relationship, you won't feel that. And it's a feeling you only get by spending time, right? You know in your heart you want to. Even if your previous circumstances didn't have it for you, you say,
you still know.
Absolutely. Because I think a lot of kids who grow up with the father is one thing, if you're fortunate to have that, especially a healthy father, healthy, because there's a difference. And if it's not healthy, they want always what's best for the parents. They always do. They always do. They always do. But if you're lucky enough to have one, or if you don't have one, you make a commitment to yourself when you're a child. That you know what, if I don't have one, or if I don't have the best ones, I'm going to be different than them.
Absolutely.
Right? But that sounds good.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But as you get older and you learn all that it takes to take care of them, be it together with somebody, be it co-parenting, be it single parenting, it's work and it's skills and it's knowledge and education and it's experience, right? I love the fact that I'm a grandparent now. I don't have to be that same parent that's all about structure. And, imagine when they were little and the children do this, do that. All we could tell them for the most part is no. Everything was no, right? And it was hard to balance out the yeses, right?
Yeah.
Well, with my grandchildren, I'm kind of the opposite. I'm a yes to everything. I shouldn't be the yes, but hey, send them back. But what I also heard you say is that the love that you have for your daughter and your father basically said you had no choice was the same I got from my mother. I was 15 when his mother got pregnant, the mother of my son, and 16 when he was born.
Wow.
And my mom said, you don't have no choice but to take care of this child. But there's no buts. So she didn't leave me no choice, and that's where the bond came in. So I can identify with that bond, but also just stepping up and being responsible because most fathers want to be.
Yeah, that's good. And I love that both of you sharing that story of, the connectedness, how important your role is as a father. And now when we throw in there that not only are you feeling like I want to be the most responsible person that I can be, I want to be present. I want my child to know me. And in addition to all of the things that happen with relationships, we add race as a variable, right? Of a way of how do I connect? How do I have, kind of that footing that I really feel like I should have? How do I make sure that my culture is present? something that's so important to me and foundational to your role as a father and you being a Black man.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time for you, Terry, that you felt like culture got in the way, or that you had to describe or explain the importance of who you were as a Black man and the role as a father?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. I think you go through this, you play this out in your mind as your wife, as your partner is pregnant, of what you want your daughter to or son to experience the way that you grew up.
Yep.
The reason why we got married and she was attracted to me because of my values that I had. Much more than what you look like and all that, but it was because I knew you would be a good man. I knew you would be a great father to your kids. That was more important. So the culture part was, for me, making sure my daughter understood where I was grounded from.
Yeah.
Where I got some of the ways and how I talked and why I was disciplined.
Yep.
The way those things were. And so I was very intentional about my daughter spending summers with my mother and father, with me not being there.
Okay.
So she spent the summers with my mom and my dad and with my family.
Yeah.
My mom's from a family of 13. My dad's the only child. So I grew up with nothing but cousins, aunts, uncles, everybody all around. So I knew she would be safe. She was good. Even though we lived in a very low income, rough part of town, it didn't matter. I knew that my family would take care of her, right? So that part was important to me. Even when we got divorced, we did that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was critical that I try to get along with her, with the mother. Once we got divorced, as much as we went back and forth, the one thing I did not want her to do is take away that time with her being spending time with my mother and father in summers. So it took me 6-8 months to get along, throughout the year to get to June, right?
Yeah.
So she could go.
So she could go.
Yeah. So
right.
so I would put the brakes on, suffer in silence. You know what I'm saying? And just, but I'm gonna get to some things, some heavy things that I went through. Early on. That because, and I'll say this real quick, when I got divorced, it got ugly. Nasty. Where I had to go to a parenting site. And Guy, you remember I told you this about 20 years ago. Well, we would go in some room, drop my daughter off, and her mom would be in another room. Now you gotta understand something. That was like, that to me
absolutely
broke me. Because here I am, got a good job. I was working for Pfizer at the time. And I presented myself well, did everything well. And here I am going to a place as if I'm an abuser.
Yes.
And it took my heart out. Right? To see my daughter have to experience something of this nature, because I never grew up like that. I always grew up with, hey, we're gonna make this work, and to see it come to that broke me to the core. It broke me to the core where I had to drive 3 hours to do it. That's the part that even would suffer even more.
That adds insult to injury. So this is exactly what I'm talking about, that we see.
So for me, when you have to suffer in silence, knowing that I had to drive back home, I had no one to see. I had no one to tell this story to, because my parents wasn't here, my brothers wasn't here, so I suffered in silence, and I took my pain out in other ways. So, but Guy, go ahead, man. So that was beyond tragic and traumatizing.
Absolutely.
For me, for years. And it spiraled me out of control where for me, it was to say the least, it was tragic.
And it makes so much sense to me because one of the things that I am intentional about at the Price Dynamic, and we say this all the time, a core value of ours is believing in the inherent dignity of all parents. And so when you leave out of the door of the Price Dynamic, we want your dignity to be intact. So we have created, by absolute intention, an environment where parents feel comfortable to be there. and an environment that doesn't look like this institutionalized place. So if a child has a memory of that parenting time or that exchange in this place, it doesn't feel like, remember we went to that horrible place, or if you have photos with each other, it doesn't look like, what's this place that you guys were at, right? So we're really, really intentional about that. And Terry, when you say that, this is exactly what I'm wanting to touch on for young men, because they're feeling that, right? They are in this space, like you mentioned, there's this tension. And I can no longer get along with this person. But the most important thing to me is my child. So now they're telling me I have to go to a space to visit or to pick up and drop off. And now I feel like somebody is telling me what to do. Right? And the worst thing is to be told what to do as a parent.
No. The worst thing is this. To be told what to do.
Yeah. And then have to be supervised.
And supervised, and you got to pay for it.
Yep.
So no. And to have your dignity taken from you, and then you got to pay this person child support. That's not a small payment. I'm talking about you paying a person $1,000 a month, and then all of a sudden now your dignity is taken from you, and now you walk around with what I had to walk around with, a sense of resentment.
Yeah.
And but those are my
That's real. That's real. And there's so many people going through that. You know, Guy, do you have any experiences to share about young men that you've seen in this space that are kind of grappling with this very thing, and not just about being a father removed, but now I'm trying to express, I'm trying to share how important it is for me to be a father. And because I have a child with someone who doesn't necessarily understand the way I express, feels attacked by how I express, then now I'm seen as a bad person.
Yeah, I think a couple of things that Terry said stuck out to me. And I think part of it is initially identifying your cultural values and beliefs for yourself. In terms of, you said, how you were raised, how you came up. So you already had that coming into the relationship, and you said that's what was appealing, right? All don't always have that, or don't always understand that about one another before it gets to the point to where we have an understanding or an agreement about how we're going to raise our child. Or you don't even have that conversation, right? And a lot of times, especially in the communities that I've been working in, the men I've been working with, a lot of the times the kids come without being planned. They don't even talk about that part in terms of, well, we wasn't expecting it to just happen, so I guess you got to do what you got to do. And we definitely don't talk about the values and beliefs that we both have that either synergy or not, right? Well, I was raised like that. Well, I was raised like that. Well, I was spanking. I wasn't. And we ate always at this. I mean, it's all those things that we just don't discuss. We just automatically assume that we're going to figure it out. How you going to figure out a plan from an idea? Like, what? That don't even make sense, right?
Absolutely.
But when I think about some of the other things you were saying, I think your original question is about when you throw in race, right? If we've understood more than any time ever before, we live in a racialized society.
Absolutely.
And we live in a society with a set of racialized systems that we have to operate within, right? So when you find yourself within those systems, it's a microcosm of our society, and how we're treated within those systems is no surprise to anyone who understands how it actually works. So when you're talking about men coming in the way that you were feeling and saying, I got to come into this location, I got to come into this particular environment, I'm feeling a particular type of way. Well, it was partially designed in that way that you feel that from the moment you walk in. And so if you don't have nobody connect with you from what you're used to, you're going to feel that from the moment you step through the door. So lots of men have come in and they say, well, are you going to treat me the same way I've been treated by being a part of these other institutions and systems and places when I work with them? And they come in and I say, well, so hold on. Let's just stop right there. Like, hold on. Let's put down the forms. Let's put down all the other technical pieces that we need. Hold on. Let's just talk. Let's just have a conversation. Let's start there, right? because I want you to see me as human because I'm going to see you as human, right? Let's just have this conversation. And they make certain assumptions. I mean, depending on how you look and what you're actually talking about. But you have to just be patient enough to hear them out and just listen. Because part of what they only want you to do initially, just listen to me.
Yep.
Do you hear me? Right? So you got to have them skills on, like, really up to par. Because once he feels like he's been heard, now you can begin to talk to him about how you can support and what he has to do to be in cooperation. Because a lot of times, when and we probably notice, all three of us being parents, once the baby's born, initially, it's all good. It's all love. It's all this, all that. But as soon as there comes a time where there's some disagreements, or especially if the relationship goes sour, now it's you against me. We're pitted against one another. Yeah. And then if you put us into a system that was designed not to necessarily benefit not only just me in terms of my background ethnically and culturally, but my gender. Oh, wait a minute, right? Yes. And you got a lot of those pieces that was designed that wasn't designed with you in mind.
Doubles right down on that feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when you see some men who go into those systems, who's not used to being treated that way, right? Particularly men that may not look like we do. Yeah. You see everything, they just rock the system to the core in terms of what they do to try to change that system that was treated. So I'm not surprised to hear that the man who you're working with that says, I feel this way. And so what can we do? Because the only thing you can do, what I've learned in working with lawyers and learning with referees and judges and magistrates, is that the last thing we want to do, if we can prevent it, is to put ourselves within the system and have them figure it out.
Absolutely.
That's the last thing we want to do, right? And so if we can learn, and I know this is what you do and what you has expertise in, figure out the co-parenting piece, right? Get away from some of the things that is sticky and racially, culturally, ethnically, economically, to begin to think. And I think it happens, and you guys maybe can relate to this, and I'll stop here and let you guys elaborate more, is that it stopped, in my opinion, it stops being an issue as the kids get older and they become grown and they become adults because they didn't make their own decisions. You're not making all the decisions for them anymore, even though you tried. But by the time they're 18, they might listen to you, they might not. You ain't got no control over that part. That's what I've learned. Yeah. And so you have to figure that out, because I think you want what's best for them, but you guys haven't just come up with an understanding of how to do that together.
That's so real. So there is this scenario, or I shouldn't say a scenario, actually something that happened for us at the Price Dynamic. We had a young man who'd been with us for probably 2.5 years doing supervised visitation weekly. Young man. And he comes in one day and his son is playing with trucks on the ground, right? And so they're having the regular old visit, and he's just, wheeling the trucks all around. And then he says, "Go, nigger, go." And his son has a white mother and doesn't see anyone black all week. And I really believe, based on how, our experience were with both parents, that was sort of by design. She, mom was living but with grandparents or with her parents, and, going to church and doing all of these things where it was kind of like, this relationship didn't work. We were going to move you back in, and we're going to take care of you, and we're going to parent you now. Right. And so dad hears his son say this, and he said, "What did you say?" And so he repeated it. And he says, "Well, where did you get that from? Who said that? Where'd you hear that?" And he said, "Papa." So his grandfather had used this derogatory term in front of him. And now he shows up for his visit and thinks it's okay to say it. Now dad is in a safe environment in this space where he can, see us, look at us and say, like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, how I'm feeling." And he stops and he says, Can I take a moment? Is it okay?" So he left out and went and kind of paced up and down the hallway. He didn't know what to do. He was so angry. And he became very emotional. I took it upon myself to have a conversation with mom, to just share with her that this is what we observed. And mom insisted there's no way he would have ever said such a thing. He would have never heard that. There's no way he would have heard that. And she says, "As a matter of fact, I didn't even know he knew the difference between black and white people. So I don't know that he would ever say that. And now this is a woman raising a young black boy. That at the time, I believe he was 3. And so I stayed on that phone with her for as long as I possibly could, not to offend her, but to also support her in that embarrassment, right? But there was no way I was going to let that be unaddressed. Now, the fact that she could have a son, 3 years old, and insist that her son, that's 3, doesn't even know he's black. Right? Like that's the response. He would never say nigger because he don't even know the difference between white and black people. He don't see color, right? You know, we see people say, "Oh, I don't see color." One of the most offensive things. You don't see me, right? That's that what you're saying. So when we get those types of situations that happen, and we're there to be able to support those men, but for him to walk away and feel like, now I am not here to address this with my son. I don't even know where to begin. And then also, it almost felt for me just watching him like there was this dagger of like, this is a person that I thought I loved. That would allow this to be said in front of my child, you know, our child. I say that to ask, when these young men are going through these types of situations, what advice can we give them in the moment where they're feeling that hurt, where they're feeling that disconnect, to reel them back in, you know, where that passion for, you know, that identity to be there doesn't turn into this anger? How do we support them when they're grappling with those kinds of things?
You know, in my experience, what I've learned in doing this work with thousands and thousands of men, oftentimes when they're hurt and they're feeling that kind of pain and they want to express themselves and they want to do it in a productive way, but I don't always know how, for a number of reasons. How do you manage those emotions, right? How do you react then to those emotions? And then what do you do about it as a result of it? What I've learned that's been most effective in terms of how you deal with that is you give them, like I think we were saying it earlier, give them an opportunity to be heard, somebody to talk to that they trust and they can talk to even get it out. So they're not walking around internalizing it. The other thing, I think that when you have a platform almost similar to what we're doing, but you have other men right there with you that can hold you up and lift you up and say to you that, you know what, I can validate that you're feeling this way, and then encourage you that it's okay, and I can support you and I can empower you. And here's some resources what you can do. I think that's what helps them really be able to not only internalize what they're feeling, but also realize that I can come and get through this because I'm uplifted by other men who's supporting me. Because 9 times out of 10, somebody have experienced those type of things. And you have to know what's, like you said, your father said, wait, so at some point, not in always in a direct way, but sometimes you just have to have an opportunity to be around men like yourself. Because I truly believe how critical fathers are. They are, no doubt about it. But Terry knows this, I know this, and you know this, Alysha. But most of us, we need multiple fathers. We need multiple men. We need a whole ecosystem of men because we need that coach. We need that mentor. We need that teacher. We need that father. We need that uncle. We need that big homie. That big brother. We need all of them. Because all of them can pour into us in a way that when we find ourselves in those situations, that ecosystem can help us deal with that and get through that and ultimately survive that.
I love that you said that, Guy, because, you know, there are a lot of young men that will say, well, my dad wasn't here. Right. And so when you say that, it's like, but it's okay to seek that fatherhood, right? In your community and people around you.
They're going to do it anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
One of the things I want to, and I hate to touch on this, but I just feel the need to do it. Just share with you an experience that I had. After my divorce, my ex-wife got into a relationship and eventually got married to a doctor and started a whole new family. But in the midst of that, they were caring for my child. And my child was living with her and so on and so forth. And we got into a confrontation about something. My daughter was on the phone and I can tell something wasn't right. And I would always ask my daughter, how is he treating you? In a very nice tone.
Yeah.
How's things going? How's he treating you?
Yeah.
I said, I want you to feel comfortable. Is there something ever to just kind of let me know? And this particular time, she told me that they got an argument or something. And I guess that they was around on the phone when she was talking to me. And he got on the phone and said, listen, I'm parenting her now. I said, oh, you are, right? Okay. Okay. So it was a heated conversation. It got heated really fast. And he ended up calling me a nigger.
Uh-oh.
The N-word, I'm sorry. But just, it went there. So I was just using the examples of, and so here's what not to do. For all the young brothers that have relationship issues and parenting, and someone else is in a relationship or married, or the case is. Sometimes you get in a heated relationship, and now the way that when we get heated, things can go one. I can go 1 to 10 like that.
Yep.
My demeanor can change overnight. I mean,
that big
quick,
Aries energy
all over, especially when it's involved my child.
Right.
So I went 0 to 10.
Yes.
In the midst of that, we got into a confrontation. He ended up putting a restraining order. Right. So, not knowing how the system was, here we are arguing on the phone, not in a confrontation where we're face to face, but over the phone. And so I say to my young brothers to be careful.
Absolutely.
How you say things, what you say things, and as what Guy said, being a person that has been in the trenches in this work, you have to have people around you because brothers will suffer in silence. It's one of those.
Yes.
I hate to say this, brothers, but it's going to come a time you're going to suffer. Just breathe, take that in, process that, and get you some people that you can talk to process that out of you before you go and on attack mode. That's something I learned because it did me no favors with the system.
Absolutely.
Now I'm not fighting them. I'm fighting the system now.
Exactly.
So now it's a different play.
That's good.
And so I want the brothers to know that you're not fighting just the person. Now you're fighting the system. And now when I knew that, I backed up. Just by the coaching I got from my father.
Yeah.
A coach, a mentor, a pastor. And then I had different ears to tell me, just calm down, just breathe.
Yes.
It wasn't a big deal now. My end goal was to make sure that I saw my child. And to make sure she went summers with my daughter.
That's it.
Everything else, I had to take that.
Yeah. That's real because when we put it in perspective, right? Yeah. What is the end goal? And I have said many times on this podcast, one of the aha moments for me when I got to the place of like, okay, I have to co-parent. I'm going to be able to do this. It was like, do you want to win?
Yeah.
Right? And if you want to win, what is the prize? When you're constantly fighting, is because you think you're going to win. You're trying to win. And I'm like, well, what's the prize here? If the prize ultimately is to be the very best that I can be for my child, to continue to fight in this way, serves nobody. Serves nobody. Terry, you saying you're not fighting that person. You're fighting now a system.
It's different.
Man.
When that happened to me, it clicked.
Yep.
I no longer took him out the picture. I no longer, my attention was fully all engaged. Once I got that restraining order and once that went away, I said, you know what? The game is being played different now.
Yes.
Let me get my team around me to ensure my head is right.
100%.
Make sure my money is right to make sure that there's no gaps in nowhere. The end goal for me to see my child. And the end result, guys, I'm going to tell you this. It's no better feeling.
Yeah.
Being a girl dad at the end of the day and seeing my daughter knowing that I'm the king and your daughter said, Dad, thank you so much.
Yes.
There's no other feeling than that.
Yeah.
To say, Dad, I love you. Dad, I love you to the core.
Yeah.
You've always been there for me.
Yeah.
So for me,
it's worth it.
You know, some of those things I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I only remember my daughter telling me, Dad, you know, these are the best times I
Yes.
had.
And that's what matters the most.
Yeah.
Right? Even for, for our children, they don't remember all the gifts all the time.
No.
They don't remember the money or the child support payment necessarily. They remember the time spent, the way you made me feel.
Yep.
Yeah.
You showed up for me.
Yep.
And so I love this message because no matter race, parenthood, right? What we're saying, it all boils down to, do you have shared values? Can you connect on what those values are? Is there alignment there? And if there isn't, work on you. Work on you and keep working on you, because to push that energy anywhere else is going to serve you no absolute good.
And you're going to fix it on the back end.
Yeah.
So whatever you do on the front end, you're going to spend your time, and God knows this.
Yeah.
If you miss the boat on the front end, you're gonna spend years.
Oh wow.
Trying to fix whatever you messed up.
Yeah.
And whatever you didn't get right.
Yes.
On the front end for those 5 to 10 years. Now your kid is in their 18 to 20 years old. They got a different mindset. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to, and you never know where you may live, where they may go off to college, and you may miss some time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's gonna oftentimes play out later on in their lives in terms of them getting in relationships.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's gonna play. You don't see it initially. You may see certain behaviors that of a kid that they would express, but as they get older, you'll see it play out in their adult lives and in their relationships. And one of the things you were saying, Terry, is like, when you're feeling that way, I think one of the important things is understanding and identifying those emotions, right?
Yeah.
We don't really get there as men until later in life and start feeling emotions and willing to even share and admit that we're feeling emotional. And maturity kicks in along the way. I know now, I wouldn't admit this 20 years ago that, commercials make me cry. Everything. Certain scenes in movies make me cry, and certain songs. I was like, what's wrong with me, right?
Not only that, what about the triggers?
That's the other thing. That's the other piece.
That's
the other piece. Yeah. And then I think the other thing, not only understanding and identifying and allowing yourself to express that, right? Yeah. But also it helps you understand your former mate more in terms of how she's wired, right? And it could be for a combination of reasons and triggers that you may have for her. They don't always tell us what the relationships with their own father was like or with men. They don't always share all that all the time because they want to keep it close, or they're afraid they don't want to get hurt again, right? So we don't always know all that, right? And then the other piece is that we don't always know cognitively, right, how to critically think, to see something play out before you even react to it, to know how it's going to play out, and then make a decision. I'm not going to do that. I can already see how that's play out. Those are them critical skills, them cognitive things, like you think about, like, I already see where that's going to go. And now I got to control myself, manage these emotions, and think clearly so I don't put myself in that same position. But that takes practice. That takes time.
It takes skills. Yeah. And it takes a village. And that's why it's so important. It just can't be mama.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm talking about these fathers and these men. You have to be intentional. If I can't use any other word, intentionality with these young men, you got to be intentional about seeking out, like what Guy mentioned earlier about, maybe you didn't grow up with a father, but you have a mindset what you felt like, the emptiness of not having him around. So you have to use that fuel to say, you know what, I'm going to seek out a person like God. I don't know how I'm going to get to him, but I need him in my spirit. I need him in my circle to say, I need to bounce some things off of him. And then when you get in that habit of doing that, you'll find someone else. Then God's going to introduce you to someone else, right? And so it's going to multiply quicker. So to all the young men, just know to be intentional about surrounding yourself with men with similar mindsets or values that you want. Maybe you didn't grow up with them. You say, man, my father wasn't there, and I got to do better. I want, when I have a child, my child is going to see me. I know what that feeling is like. So use that as fuel to break whatever barriers or curses or whatever people want to use to just be different.
Yeah, that's good.
And men got to see men to be men, right?
Yeah,
especially
absolutely,
men, right?
Yeah.
What I try to model to the best of my ability, because I didn't see that. I mean, I saw some of it, but not to the degree to where it molded me in a way that said, ultimately, this is who you can become. I didn't see enough of it. Let me say that way. It wasn't reinforced in that way. I saw what the community was, and I was staying in communities that was, I came some of the rough areas of Chicago, the rough areas of Minneapolis. I saw the stuff that I thought what it meant to be a man. That's right. And so I thought that, right? But what I can appreciate about Terry, and I've never even had a chance to tell you this, and you've been doing the work for a long time, particularly with the dads and daughter dance, is hundreds, if not thousands, of men that come to that event every year. Usually those men are established, right? They stable, they consistent, they're involved, they there with their daughters. And the other men who didn't come up seeing that, when they see that, that symbolism within itself, even if they don't admit to you right then and there, but if you see, you can be, and what he brings together with all those men, which is why I'm there every year. Because now I'm fortunate, and also why I developed the Citizen Father Foundation is, if you didn't see the men you wanted to be growing up, I say to the men that I've worked with over the years and what you're doing, be that man then. Become him. So now they can see me in terms of what I didn't see. I'm being the ones that I would hope that I would have saw. Now I can be them, and I can tell you, so can you. And so when we go to Terry's event, I'm there every year, every dancing, and we do all our, Terry do his thing. We're there having fun, and then see the daughters and the energy and all the love and just the energy. Here's what you can become, right? And I think that symbolism piece is so critical and so important, because you can be that because you see it right in front of you.
No, that's amazing. And I am a proud daughter to an amazing man. And I know that my father is like, he just gloats. He's so happy to be a girl dad. And what I can say also about that image is for all of those girls to see all of those men. You know what I mean? Like doing all of these wonderful things with their daughters. They're dressed well, pulling out chairs and, catering to them for the evening and all of that. It sets a precedence that is necessary for young girls to see and to feel, so that they know how to be treated going forward.
I think one of the blessings that I received out of all the trauma that I went through was the father-daughter dance. So let me say this: out of all the trauma that I went through, the blessing that I got was the father-daughter dance. I was intentional about making sure it was a space that my daughters, when they walked in, I wanted every man to experience the feeling and the pain that I felt. But in that moment, it was different. I wanted my daughters to see a sea of black men with their daughters. I wanted us to read a covenant. We read a covenant every year to our daughters to say, "I promise." It's a 10-point deal that we say to our daughters. All the men stand up and read a covenant. Matter of fact, God wants you to read it this year.
Let me ask a quick question. I don't want to take over Alysha's show, but I got a question for him. I just want to ask you a question. Based on, you've been doing it now for 10 years.
No, 12.
12 years.
13 now.
Wow.
What has that done for you in terms of your own daughters, not only being your daughters and seeing you do that, but for them to see that? What has that done, and as it relates to impacting the relationships with both of them?
I think for my younger daughter, it has, because she's been here in the city. I talk about my older daughter, but my younger daughter, she's 7 years difference. That's my heart too. So she had a chance to grow up with me. So she had a chance to see the service work from a little child at age 5. So she's seen every dance. And so for her to be a freshman now going to sophomore in college, now I'm seeing her light comes on. She wants to serve in different places. And I think what it's done for me, man, is they see their father in a different light, that they see my service work that I've done, and then the work is more important. The work that I do is as important to my community and how I serve as my family is. And so they see that connection. I'm so happy that my daughters, both of them, had a chance to see and experience that. to know without a shadow of a doubt. Even my older daughters, I had to co-parent her from a distance a little bit. Mm-hmm. But immediately when she graduated high school,
she came with you.
Yeah. After graduation, she left.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when graduation was over, they had a party. She left and came to live with me.
Yeah.
She lived with me for 5 years. Right. Immediately after high school, I said, so we talked in April. I said, so what are you going to do? Dad, I'm going to take a year off, but I'm coming to live with you.
Yeah.
And she stayed with me for 4 years.
Yeah.
Then you called me. So what do I do with this grown up?
So listen. And then we had to. It was interesting because we had to go through a transition.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I had to teach her a few things.
Yeah.
And now I had to force her to be on her own. Mm-hmm. I said, Dad loves you now. And that's why I tell men, whatever you missed, you're gonna catch it on the back end.
Yeah.
And I caught it. I don't want to share my daughter's full story, but I caught it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I knew how much it meant for me to be there. And my daughter never told me, she said, Dad, I wish that you'd have got me when I was a freshman.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And she said, I wish you would have, because I asked her mother, I said, listen, when she was going to be a freshman, I said, listen, why don't you just let her come to me? Mm-hmm. And this is when someone got murdered in North Minneapolis, over off Penn and over by North Point. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
But that was the summer that person got murdered.
Okay.
And the gun went off, and the kid got murdered right there by the police officer, by the 4th precinct.
Oh, Jamar Clark.
Yep, Jamar Clark, yep.
That's what happened. Mm-hmm. So we was in negotiations to try to bring my daughter to live with me for her to go to high school here. And when that happened, the news started going off. My daughter's not going to be in North, so it was all that. Yeah. And so we had a different deal. But as soon as high school was over, she said, Dad, I'm coming to live with you. And so I think that was the best reward for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I didn't care about nothing else.
Yeah.
Anyone that dated me know that I don't care about nothing else but my kids and my family. Yeah. And it was like that was the most important thing for me to make sure I crossed that finish line. And now you just feel like, man, it feels like you've been out of jail, brother. And I've never been in jail before. I don't even know what it feels like, right? But I know one thing, the feeling that I have now.
It's a freedom.
Oh my God.
Free.
Freedom, and to see my daughters doing well, it's like it's like, no, I did the work.
Yeah, and I love it.
I did the work, and it's painful, but the reward that you feel. And my father, and I'll end with this. My father always told me this. He says, "Son, the what you would feel when you pour into your kids and you see them at a different level than you were." It's the best feeling that you ever have. Mm-hmm. Your mother has that towards you. Mm-hmm. It's something about when they pour into you and they give everything that they have. Because I saw my parents sacrifice for us too. Mm-hmm. And to see it's just a different glow. Yeah. It's a different glow that they feel when they're around you. Yeah. It's just a different glow. And that's what I feel with my kids. Yeah. And my dad feels amazing. And my dad feels that
when he's watching you.
Yeah.
Listen, and I know that because we was grown adults. Yeah. And I know Terry's parents and the brothers, like, because his family is there. Yeah. Have seen them on numerous occasions of different events. And so, no, that's amazing. I love that. One of the things I want to end with is if we can impart, and I love this conversation because I almost felt like, Terry, you should have been here for the Girl Dad podcast. But one of the things that I would love to say, if we can end on a note of a message for mothers who are grappling with not understanding the men who they have children by. And so now that they're no longer in the household with them, and some of the things that maybe they might have ignored or thought in the name of I'm in love with them or we're together, I'm not speaking up on. But now that we're not, I don't know how to connect with him because of these differences. What we might say to her about the importance of the father being in their child's life and being connected.
One of the first things I would think about is what is your long-term hopes and dreams for your child? What do you want him or her to become? And how do you plan to get them there? What's the role in terms of your contribution and what you have set up for them to be able to understand that road, that journey, in order to be, successful, healthy, impactful, productive adults? And what role did not only you play in laying that foundation, but also the importance of the role that he plays, because she's genetically connected to him. There's some things that's already connected to your children or even your son or daughter that innately they're going to have anyway. Right, they're gonna have that anyway. Both of you created him, and you even heard the story. You act just like, and he don't ain't nowhere around. You talking about you act just like him, and she acts just like him. So it's inevitable. But I think what's most important for her to understand is that him, and in general, a lot of our societal ills that we see within our communities across the board, culturally, ethnically, racially, but let's, for the standpoint of this conversation, talk about our community. A lot of those things are caused by the absence of a father, or the lack of a father, or the father is not necessarily healthy. He's just not consistent. But the answer and the solution to all those challenges is the presence of a father. So on one hand, he's contributes to the challenge, but he's also the solution. So we got to understand what leads to how it plays out for our children in terms of they find themselves here or there within these challenging situations. A lot of it because he may not have been involved. He may not have been healthy. But it's begin to get that way. And he might not be the healthiest for you because you guys didn't work out. Yeah. But that don't mean he can't continue, as me and Terry has talked about throughout this podcast, the journey of getting there maturity-wise and understanding your role and responsibility, being an example, being a role model. Doing that, that's why I asked them about what they felt about seeing all those guys, plus they seeing him. They tend to begin to see and realize how that's affecting them, and then it turns out and end up being successful or productive for them. And moms just need to understand the the healthier he is, the better you guys can get along,
that's it.
and the more they can witness you getting along. This is what I'll say, and I'll end with this. So I started out saying I had two children. So I have a daughter, 24, and I have a son. Unfortunately, I lost my son a couple of years ago. But he was a dad.
Oh, man, great dad.
Yeah, he gave me two beautiful grandkids. I was college educated, outstanding, just an outstanding young man.
One of the best.
Right. So I had to have continued to reflect on, man, how did he end up being that young man that he was, and loved, and, dad, and married, and all these other things. Me and his mother co-parented him, but it wasn't easy at first, as we all know it wasn't. But over time, we realized we needed to pour into him for him to turn out in the way that he was. And he let us know it when he got older about what he didn't like. All that. He told me about it. I remember one time, me and his mother had started to get along, and hopefully she don't get upset with me and sharing this on the podcast, that we were at a gathering. We all were there, and they invited me to come to a gathering, a family gathering. And I hadn't come to gatherings before, but I was at that one because my son invited me and said, come. And I remember we're all in the kitchen, her and her family and me, and we were there. And I remember we were taking pictures. And I remember my son, he probably was, this tells you how old he was. He was 30, right? Oh. And they were taking pictures, and I think his uncle was taking a picture. And he said, hurry up and take this picture. That's what he told his uncle. Hurry up. He said, because me and his mom was in the picture, the family was in the picture, me and mom was standing next to each other. He said, hurry up and take this picture. He said, because I've been waiting for this moment my whole life.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So I'm saying all that to say it plays out, but we got a chance to reverse it, and over time. So even though he's gone on to be with the Lord, he got an opportunity to see me and his mother had a relationship, and we got one until this day.
Oh man,
that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing.
I think one of the things that I would say to the mothers, they have to realize that they can't do this alone. And the biggest thing I would say is let the resentment go. Don't use the child as a pawn to get back at the dad or the father. Those things has to go away, because your child is going to see that, and they're going to somehow duplicate some of those same things as they get older. So moms have to play a critical role. There's nothing stronger than a son, specifically, in their mother relationship. So she has to be very critical and realize that the man that she's raising will be a dad, a father, a mentor, a coach to somebody one day, and what she poured into him is exactly what she's going to see. And she can't say it was his fault when you parented him 95% of the time. She can't say that. So you got to allow him or her to spend time with her father, regardless of what you may think he is or he isn't, or what he should be doing, he's not doing. Allow them to spend the time, and then you coach from there. You coach from there. But to not to allow them or her or him to see their father because you're mad, because the child support didn't come and he's not doing his job. Hey, people didn't have child support 40 years ago. They just took care of kids and deal with this. But at the end of the day, this child's going to be a grown adult one day. And just pour love into them, and all the money and all the other things will come. Because these kids going to get what they're going to have. But the most important that they want is love. And so, to the moms, I would say, realize that part of the reason why our community is in the shape it's in now is because men are not here. And we're not present. And we all have to have some sort of responsibility. The moms, I know you guys carry a lot because you carry the children, but you carry an extra burden in our community to ensure and make spaces for fathers to show up.
Absolutely.
Because when you don't, this is what we're getting. Look at the product that we're getting in our community. And someone has to take some of the blame. It can't be all the blame on the dads. It has to be a jointly blame that's and listen, you have to talk to this.
This is real.
And so I'm not here to bash moms in any way, none of that. But I'm saying, because I hold fathers accountable. Trust me. But I'm saying we need to do it together in such a way that we need to break some of the barriers 100%. Down and say, look, I know what my beliefs are and yours are. It may not sync, but we got a child to raise. And the differences are going to be the differences. But your son or daughter needs to see you.
Absolutely.
Whatever shape you in, they still need to see you. And then I'll parent from there. I'll parent for them. And then,
because it's you speaking my life. That's what I did. And for me, we always talk about it as like I had to hold the belief. I knew what I wanted to see. I knew I had a vision, and I was going to stick to that. And so guess what? I'm still going to drop you off, and I'm going to pick you up, and we're going to ride it out. And it was just as, I think, important for me to hold that vision, because it also gave my son's father an idea of what I saw in him, of the belief that I had in him. Right? So for me to just say, oh, well, never mind, you're not quite doing what I want you to do, or this is not working out, so I don't need you, would be a pass, right? It's a pass. But I was like, no, this is how we showing up, which could make him know, I see you this way. This is what I believe that you will do and will be. And so I think that everything that you're saying is amazing. It's awesome.
I'll just add one last piece of this. A lot of men that I work with have criminal backgrounds or recently re-entering the community, and they have challenges that comes with that. Criminal backgrounds and been incarcerated, or been periodically involved in their life because they've been incarcerated. One of the things I always like to tell the men, and I would like to tell the women, is he doesn't get a break just because he's incarcerated. You don't stop being dad just because you're incarcerated. And moms have to also understand he don't stop being dad because he's incarcerated. So you have to keep that communication, that relationship, however hard it may be, if it's possible. You have to, because in the end, folks are like, well, I don't want to see my dad behind. Still need to have a relationship with their parent, mom or dad incarcerated. So they don't get a break because they are. They have to keep that, because I got many men who didn't have their father in their life because they were incarcerated, but the mothers made sure that she went to visit, or they stayed connected, or they took the phone calls, as best they could to keep the relationship going. Because if you don't do that, it'll create that gap and that absence, and then the long-term effect that it has.
And then lastly, I'm just going to tell you, you carry a big responsibility in this space, and I commend you for being in this space.
Thank you.
You got a good voice, but I'm telling you, in order for our community to heal, the mothers need to be at the table and understand what the fathers are going through. I mean, I'm somewhat removed from being a father of a 5 or 6 year old at this point in my life. but I know what it takes to parent. And I'm telling you, the mothers, they carry a big stick when it comes to parenting.
It's real.
And they can make or break
a child.
They can make or break it, right? And so if we can just learn to communicate and learn to break the barriers down, because if you don't, you're going to get a repeat. And you're going to be seeing your grandchildren's repeat what's happening, right? And so the biggest thing that I have for me, I'm passionate about Black boys, and I want to make sure that if I can tell you, mother, is to surround your son, be intentional about surrounding your son with the men that you want in his life, and don't take your foot off the gas on that. And so I just commend you for your work, and
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just keep doing it.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys for tuning in to Co-Parenting Confessions. This was good, and deeper than I thought it would be. Like, right on. I love it. If there is a takeaway, I would love for you guys to know that one of the things that comes to me from today's session is, which it feels like a session, but today's show is the values piece. Oftentimes we have children and we don't necessarily talk about what we intend for them or what we intend for our family or what our values are. And if we start there with just that small nugget of what our expectation is for how we will raise our children, then we have a touch piece, a cornerstone, some foundation to come back to when we're not quite getting along. So I encourage you all to really look at your values and to dig deep. Figure out what it is that you want and who you would like for your child or children to become. Make sure that fathers are present and in their lives, because they absolutely matter. And if you don't walk away with anything else today, it should be that. Thank you for tuning in to Co-Parenting Confessions.
It's good. It's good.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Mom, I'll just take a picture.
NBC. No relation to NBC.
Welcome. We're here. It is Co-Parenting Confessions, and this is episode 3. And I cannot tell you guys how excited I am, because I have 2 very special people here that you've probably seen me on camera with before, and I'm sure you'll see me on camera with them again. But today, we are talking about co-parenting, and both of these guys are amazing fathers, and we're going to have some fun with this being a father by any means necessary conversation. So today I welcome my BFF, Lavorne Love, who you guys all know as Versatile Hands, the amazing chef and barber, business owner, and social light of the Twin Cities. And then we also have Mr. Pierre Douglas, the realtor to the up-and-coming stars, and this amazing comedian who has been recognized by people like Kevin Hart. So we're going to talk today, really get in depth about what it means to be a father by any means necessary, because both of these guys have amazing children that they have been present for. And without further ado, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you guys for being
having us.
here.
Man, this is excited. Such an honor. That was a great intro. That was amazing.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So you guys, I want to talk about what you've been through to be a present father, like the ups and the downs, the funny stuff, the good, the bad. Not that we always know what to do, but what we've done. Mm-hmm. And earlier, Pierre and I had a chance to just talk, and I brought up something to him that I think a lot of women don't think about. So I think this will be a good way to start our conversation. Mm-hmm. What happens in that moment when you realize you're not going to live in the house with your children every day anymore? Like at some point you were living with them or you were in the home regularly. And then that moment when you realize the relationship is over and my kids are not going to be with me every day. And I think a lot of mothers take for granted that dads have emotions about that and what it's like to not wake up with your kids or go to sleep with your kids in the same house. What did that feel like for you guys, or what were your experiences around living with your kids?
So for me, I cried. I literally cried. I thought like the family was over with. Yeah. Period. Like there's no family no more. It's over with. And so I was shook. I couldn't really conceptualize like how am I even a dad now if I'm not in the home with them?
Yep.
And I dealt with that for some months until I took my kids on our first trip together without mom. And we all went, me and all my 4 kids, we went for my daughter's graduation, and I handled it without her. I was like, oh, wait, no, okay, we're
like,
good.
I got this.
I got this. Family's still family. I'm just not in the home anymore.
Yeah.
But even, a couple years removed from that now, not being at home still bothers me, though.
Yeah.
Like, there's those funny moments you miss, those little things that just aren't there anymore that you only get every holiday or every spring break now. So I still deal with that part.
Yeah. That's deep.
Super.
I like it.
Super deep. For me, it's funny that you asked this too, because I was just having this conversation with my daughter this morning.
Oh.
Yeah, we were having like a little flashback back when they were younger. Their mom decided to move to Atlanta, so they relocated.
Yep.
And I begged her, pleaded with her not to do that. She didn't listen. Obviously, she went. So I cried too. I did cry. I was pretty devastated, and it was always a tough adjustment, but they would come back for holidays, winter break, summer break, and I just, I just took it as this is how it's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you just got to deal with it.
I got to deal with it. I got to adjust, and, I talk to him all the time, and I don't know. I think it's a little different for me than it was maybe for Pierre, because he was married, and they were already in the home together anyway. We were already doing a co-parenting type thing anyway, so I was somewhat used to him not being there all the time.
Yeah.
But just knowing that I couldn't just have him come over whenever I wanted, or if we want to run and do some dinner or whatever, it was tough. It was real tough. But sometimes, man, it's gonna be the most of your situation,
right?
Yeah, what do you do?
And from the mother standpoint, and just things that I've heard, I know that a lot of times women want to believe that you guys think like, oh shoot, I'm finna kick it, like. Yeah. I'm single now, or my kids aren't here. I don't got to deal with that every day. And so I think a lot of women, engage with their children's fathers in that way, with that mindset that, you're lucky. I have to deal with all of this. But many women fight for being the primary caregiver.
What?
But then still have resentment on the other end that you don't have to deal with it every day, all day.
Absolutely.
So
I tell her, like, I didn't choose this. Like, I wanted to be. I'm a family man. This is what I wanted. I didn't choose to be single. I didn't choose to be a holiday dad or a spring break dad. You chose this for me. And that perception was real. Like, you out here taking trips now. You can come and go as you please. You can da-da-da-da-da. Well, you gave me the free time. I can't just sit here. But again, I didn't choose this to be I battle even with like just, I'm not on child support, but I battle with like, having to work more to be more present financially now because I'm not there physically now. So I'm like, I didn't, So nah, we didn't want to be out here in these streets like that.
Yep. That I'm glad that you mentioned child support, because that was the area where I'm like, a lot of men, they're like, I'm a father by any means necessary, which means a lot of the time that they have to pay to be a dad. Or like the only thing that you bring or that you offer, or it's like I need to drink, or that you offer is money. It's like people forget that there are things that dads do that moms just can't do. Yeah. That the father figure can provide a certain protection and just nurturing in a way, teaching you certain things that your mom may not even innately think about. Right. So what has that felt like around, or have you felt like your role as a dad has been perceived as only financial, or that's primarily what you're needed for?
I think personally,
go ahead, P.
I probably tricked myself into thinking that was my only role outside of that union. Like, I'm not present on the day-to-day. So now I have to make up for that financially. It wasn't her. She didn't project it on me. Yeah. I put it in my head. But then situations happened where money came up. I was like, all right, well then, I ain't tricking myself. Yep.
Like, yep. Nope.
and even that's hard because now, in the household, I didn't spend nearly that much money on my kids. But now that I'm away, I'm like, I gotta work extra hours. I got 4 jobs. Like, what am I doing here?
Wow.
Like, so it's
you a Jamaican, man.
Man, I'm a Jamaican, a Mexican, and an African.
All the above.
That's interesting. interesting though, because there is a part of you that felt like if I'm not present, then I have to do more.
Yes.
I love that you said too, like I'm providing more financially than I had to when I was in the home. So what would you say to men who act like their child support amount that they've been, ordered to pay is too much? Like that's not needed to raise these children. Like it doesn't cost that much. When you're on the other hand saying like, I feel like because I'm not present, I should do more.
Right. So it's so case by case. Because like if your kid is up the street, you have access to go get this child. Yep. So that dollar amount shouldn't be so high. Because that time can be divided.
Yeah, okay.
For me, I'm across the country with it. So I can't get every weekend. I can't do these things. My dollar amount's not high.
Yeah.
But it's like, for me, because like the time is imbalanced. So I feel like I have to be higher on that side. Yep. So those who pay all that money, if you got time to go get them, bro, go get them kids so you can less your dollar amount. But yeah, I guess because my time balance is different, I perceive that I got to give more money.
Yeah. I feel my BFF's energy over here.
I'm just listening.
Let's kick in on the child support, man. Tell us what you're thinking.
I have a different perspective. Man, so this started at a young age too, I was a teen parent trying to figure it out. Yep. She instantly threw me on child support. Instantly. And I didn't know what was going on. I felt blindsided, but I gotta do it, so I'm paying it. We talking like this the 90s. I'm paying like $1,200 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, $1,200 a month.
Wow.
And at one point, I'm like, okay, let's work this out. We got these kids. We're a family. Let's get together. So we moved together. She was still getting child support. And we was under the same roof with each other. And she would not turn it off. She just refused. So I called my worker multiple times. They're like, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to figure that out. So it was tough. And I just, I felt like my back was against the wall. I got to do it. I'm obligated. So fast forward. Again, talking to my daughter today, there's a time where they're coming back for Christmas. It's their first Christmas back to Minnesota when they moved to Atlanta.
Yeah.
I had just started cutting hair. I'm like, I'm not working no more jobs where I get a check. I'm working for cash. Y'all ain't gonna keep taking my money. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I need some control of this.
Yes.
Like, 'cause I'm feeling like very helpless.
Yeah.
Very helpless. So I don't know what he talking about, but I didn't want to pay more. I want to pay less. So this particular Christmas, I started cutting hair. I got this money saved up. The kids are like, "Oh, Dad, I want an iPod. I want a Nintendo DS." This is early 2000s. So I'm like, okay, I feel good. I'm gonna get them what they want for the first time in forever. I got the money to do it. I got them everything they wanted. Their mom calls me from Atlanta. Mind you, I'm still paying child support whenever they come visit too. Yeah. So this is totally outside of that.
Yeah.
And she's crying. I'm like, what's wrong with you? She's like, I can't believe you would get those type of gifts. Why would you do that? Like, what do you mean? Like, that's what they want for Christmas? That's what they asked for? That makes me look bad as a mother.
Oh.
For you to shower them with these expensive gifts, and I got to take on this responsibility every day. I get them stuff every day, and this and that. I'm like, I just want to get them what they wanted for Christmas.
Right.
Like,
so you can't win for losing.
Not at all.
That's wild.
Then the icing on the cake, I'm so perplexed. I'm talking to my daughter. This is back then. Yes. So she's probably like 10 or 11 at the time. I mean, your mom's tripping. She said, yada, yada, yada. And she's mad because I got y'all what y'all asked for. And she said, well, she's right. I mean, she does take care of us every day. Why would you do that? I'm like, you asked for it.
Right.
Man, I ain't bought them nothing for Christmas since then.
you upstaged her. And I love that you brought that up because in the space where I work within my business, we have a supervised visitation program.
Sure.
And a lot of places that offer supervised visitation do not allow the parent that's visiting to buy gifts and bring gifts, right? But at the Price Dynamic, we're like, no, we believe that that's a part of you parenting. And we don't see things like clothes, shoes, hats, gloves, all that kind of stuff as a gift. Right. Those are essentials, right? School supplies, all of that stuff. But we have seen so many mothers that when they come to pick their kids up, look at all of the gifts or the essentials that their parent has bought and refuse it in front of the kids. I will never forget that there was a dad who bought a bike for his son. And we went downstairs to wheel that bike out and she would not take it.
Wow.
in front of that baby and was just like, nope, you can't have it.
Why?
And called back because she said, I can't afford that. We had another little boy. He asked his dad the week before for some Jordans for school.
Mhm.
Dad bought 2 pair.
Okay.
Mom didn't want them
Wow.
because she said it's not fair to start this when I can't keep it up. That was her thought.
That's an interesting perspective.
It was a
It
very
is.
interesting
Yeah,
perspective
yeah.
It
because
is.
I had never thought of that. It
Yeah.
wasn't like she was, being a hater. She was kind of like, if this is the trend that we're going to set, and then if you all of a sudden aren't here anymore,
Mhm.
now
Right.
you've introduced this to him and I can't do it.
Mm.
And so it's so deep to think about, like the perspective or just, how each parent might feel.
I would have
Perspective
never
is
thought
everything.
Ain't it? Right. I
Yeah.
was like, what?
that. What?
I just feel like as long as the kids get what they want or deserve or whatever, then that's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. But
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's my job to worry about what you think about it
See,
either.
that's
you know?
another
Like,
that's another good point.
you ain't worry about what I'm going through when I got to deal with and figure out what I'm doing. So,
That's a,
Yes.
so like,
that part.
we're,
right
we're
there.
not together. So
Yeah.
we're co-parenting. So I got to figure out how it works on my side and during my experiences and my, interactions with them. And you got to do that in your end,
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't owe you that. It's not my job.
Yeah.
It's not my job to make you feel okay or feel at peace or whatever.
That's so good. It's not my job to make you feel okay.
Mm-mm.
Like it's not. And this is where I feel like I have an affinity to fathers because I feel like you guys are like the lone soldier out there sometimes. like your emotions don't really get
Yeah.
communicated or how you might struggle or what obstacles may be in your way. It's like
Mhm.
we just expect you to pull up the bootstraps, be the tough guy and deal with it and not considering, what you're experiencing or it. So
I
love that you
personally
say that.
chose recently to not be that dad though. Like you're not gonna just limit or like only limit me to being the money dad or this dad. Like you're gonna everybody's finna feel how I feel. If I feel bad, y'all gonna feel it. Like, y'all, cause it's
Give us an example of that. What do you mean? Like, so if you're feeling bad and they feel it, what would the situation be?
like I'll FaceTime every kid I have and like, hey, y'all, you ain't called or text me and told me you love me. And I text you every morning to tell you guys this. I am
Yes.
here. From 21 down to 11, text me, fam.
Yep.
My kid's mom, you want to fuss about money? Hey, listen, I ain't sold the house in 3 months. You know what my profession is.
Yep.
Settle down. You're going to feel how I feel. It's tight on me. It's going to be tight on you too.
Yeah.
You chose this.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to
You chose this.
I'm not about to figure out or make major adjustments because of what. Nah, heck
Yeah.
Because I was so stressed out for so many, for however long it was. Like I had headaches. I was stressed out, blood pressure high. Cause trying to be the dad that I want, that they, you know what I mean? Like, nope.
That you wanted them to perceive you as or feel.
Yeah.
And then it was putting a lot of pressure and stress on you.
Yeah.
The thing that you said that I love, and I would love to hear you guys touch on this, is when you feel like, and this is so real to being a father by any means necessary, it's even more thankless, I think, at times than being a mom. Moms will verbalize, this is a thankless job. You do all of this work, you sacrifice yourself, you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're, and no one says thank you.
Mhm.
But you guys are expected to do a lot and you don't get phone calls sometimes.
Mhm.
I remember seeing on social media for years and years and years, my BFF being like, it's Father's Day. And I don't know that I've gotten a text or a phone call today or a card. Right. And so like we sometimes just forget that those things are important for dads.
Absolutely.
And how that feels when you're like, I'm expected to show up and be this provider.
Yeah.
But it's not, the love isn't always reciprocated.
Not at all. I think I got my first, I can't remember if it was Father's Day or Christmas. But it was one of the two, probably like 2 years ago. And my kids are old, like 30, 28, and 25. And my oldest daughter, who was probably the most responsible out of all of them, she finally got me some AirPods.
Wow.
That's my first time ever getting anything for my kids. Like a card, a present, nothing. Like, but I'm not mad. Like, y'all kids. Like, I don't,
But see, you gotta be mad.
Because parents like, you're going to feel how I feel.
That's real.
Yeah.
You're right.
Like you probably were mad in the moment. You're a little salty. Like
I
probably sad a little bit.
I probably was way back when, but at the time when I was feeling some kind of way, they were legit children.
Yeah.
So I feel like if the other parent isn't making them be that way, then I'm not gonna hold it against them. And then eventually you just end up growing up the way you grow up. You don't know. You just used to getting what you get, and that's not my job to give my dad nothing or acknowledge my dad or whatever. So I didn't hold a grudge against him. But when it happened, it definitely I felt it.
Yeah.
Like, man, that was dope. Like I had to like go in another room for a little minute. That was real nice. But we've also gotten so much closer since they become adults.
Yep.
You know, and she's, you know, they've said it out themselves, like, you know, Dad, you're different than how Mom said you were.
Yeah.
You know? Or
I love that.
Yeah, like, you know, we just go with what we were, you know? I don't want to see what she told them, but
you could absolutely see it in your relationship with them as well. Like as adults, how they, you know, they have like an actual friendship with you too.
It's like a friendship.
Right. You know, it's like I want to enjoy fun with my dad.
No
like
question.
And they're intentional about it. Like I'm gonna go hang with my dad. I'm showing up with my dad.
No question.
That's dope. I love that.
Yeah, she came up here on my birthday. She'll fly up here.
Yeah.
On a whim.
Yeah.
She works at the airport too, so she'll come up here for a party, go right back home, or you know, we're doing some kind of function. She'll come and kick it and go right back, and she's cool. My youngest one, so she's cool too. She just, you know, she's the youngest.
Yeah.
So we working on that still. And Latrell, who's the oldest, who I have the most hands-on with, like he moved in with me, I think at like 11 years old. And from that point on, he like lived with me full time. So I was super like just like entrenched in him.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna do good in school, you're gonna get a scholarship, you're gonna, you know, be successful, all this other stuff. So he's doing okay. You know, he's doing pretty good. He's getting there, still trying to figure it out. But I would think we would be closer, especially since we're guys, but it's not like that right now. Like he be over here doing whatever he doing and gotta like twist his arm to come out and do something, but it's okay. I really don't care.
Yeah.
You care, bro. Stop saying
I
that.
don't. Like
he cared. You care.
You know why you know why I care, but I don't care because I had to be a father by any means necessary. And so I couldn't get the emotions overly tied up and feel like what was me. I just gotta get through this. Now it's like it's work. Like, you know.
It's true.
No one's gonna care how I feel at the end of the day. Like I gotta take care of you.
But that's not fair.
It's not fair, but it's just reality. It's my reality.
Yeah.
I don't know if and maybe it's my reality because of how I dealt with it. I don't know, but that's how I really honestly felt. So to make sure I don't get like too bent out of shape or, you know, stressing or whatever, I'm just like tunnel vision. Like, okay, I gotta work, I gotta pay this, I gotta take care of this, I gotta make sure you're good, I gotta make sure y'all here every summer, winter break. It's like it was a system, you know, and a lot of emotion got removed from it because of that. I feel, you know. It was almost like it's just my duty, you know. I just gotta do what I gotta do. They didn't ask to be here. They didn't ask for it to be like how it is, you know. So, you know.
What did the role of your own upbringing and you having your father there or not having your father there?
For me,
both of you. Like, what did that have to do with how you show up as a dad or not? Like, did it play any part in how you are as a father?
I think for me, my dad not being there, like being around but not being there, made me want to be a better dad. Yeah, for sure. But I also didn't have, because I think my mom did such an amazing job of taking care of us by herself. I never had that feeling like, oh, I didn't have no dad in my life, or my life it'd be better if dad was around. I never felt that way. I'm like, my life's cool. Like I like how my stuff was. So I didn't know how valuable that was or not, because I didn't have that, and I felt like my life was great as a kid growing up without a dad. So, but I also knew that I didn't want to be like that either. So that's, you know, that's all I can say about that. But stuff gonna be how it's gonna be regardless.
P, how did it happen for you? What was your situation?
My dad situation is similar to Love's, whereas I knew my dad. I am everything my dad is. My sense of humor, my love for music, gospel quartet, everything that's Pierre is Calvin Harrington. Right. And as a child up until 5, he was very present. We moved to Minnesota. That changed. Moved back to Chicago, as present as he could be, but it was a little different. And so I blamed him as a child because I didn't know what was going on, right? And so, but I told myself as I became a dad, I will be everything that he wasn't to me. Everything. So I'm 18, first child, or however old I was. I ain't going nowhere. Out of high school, we get an apartment. This is what it's gonna be. I am present from 18 until today, or whatever it is, right? And it was tough because, like, I remember I had a conversation with my mom. My dad's a musician. I played drums. And I was crying, like, man, all I want to do one day is have a jam session with my dad and play the drums, and he played the guitar, and I'm crying. I'm like, oh, that was weird. And I was like, there's like, and I'm a teenager, like, I'm 16, crying, like, man, I just want to play the drums with my daddy, man. Wow. And he played the guitar.
I love that. Like, you can see it.
It's crazy, man. Yeah.
Well, it's funny now, but
it wasn't funny then.
But it was
it was a real
tears.
Wow.
Feeling, a real desire.
Yeah.
Like there was a dream of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so growing into a dad and a young man, just trying to figure it out, like, I'll never leave my kids in that fashion.
You know what I think about too, now that I'm an adult, right? I understand why dads leave. I understand why a lot of men are not present. If you just keep it 100% real with yourself, now that you're grown and you realize dynamics of relationships and how shit goes bad, and how women can make it difficult for a man to just feel like, I might be down on my luck, but I just want to hug my kids today. And put up that barrier or those boundaries of, like, you can't do this because you can't afford it, or whatever the case may be. I don't like you today. You're messing with this new woman and you can't come over here, whatever. Right? And how the relationship gets in the way of your ability to parent. I understand now why a lot of men weren't present. Even though it's not right, you get it.
The relationship gets in the way of your ability to parent. You nailed it right there, for sure.
And some women make it really fucking hard. Like, I don't want to feel that anger. I don't want to feel this energy, that vibe, in order to see the kids. Like, I want to do right by what you're saying, but I'm scared of you right now. Or like, I just don't want to deal with what you're bringing.
Right.
Have you ever felt that? Like, I need to stay a distance because I just can't, I don't know how to navigate her and how she's feeling?
The mom?
Yeah.
Go ahead, P.
I've had that feeling of, like, all right, I cannot be a dad right now.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because of her.
Yeah.
But because of what life gave me to not have to see my kids. I got to go to the airport. I got to go to TSC. I got to go to TSA. I got to go on a plane. I got to go to take my shoes off every time to go see my kids now. And at one point I was doing this multiple times a week.
Yes.
Right? And I'm like, this is a lot to just see my kids, and it costs a lot of money. And so at that point I was like, and then on top of that, still have to pay.
Yep.
I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make some new kids in Minnesota. Like,
y'all laughing? That's real.
But it's real.
That's
like
real.
back in the day, you know how many dads? What? I'm just gonna create a new family.
Let's start a new family.
My dad got like 17 kids, man. Like, for real. That
17.
That's what dads did back in the day. Like, just go to the next house, and the next girl got something. You go over here. Like, and I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not gonna
right. But I mean, but if we're real, like, we know that a lot of people, we know that that's what their life was.
Yeah. I mean,
but she didn't make me feel that way. Like, she didn't take us out of it as parents. I wasn't angry with her as parents. It was all she and I relationship stuff. Like, I hate you
directly.
You can fall off a bridge. Like, there was that.
Yes.
So parenting, I won't. She didn't make it too difficult in that space. Aside from money.
That's awesome.
So
I think most of the times the issues aren't really the kids for real. It really is between the two people. The kids is usually end up being a tool in that. But a lot of times, even from the other side, like, the dad won't be present in the kid's life because he's mad because he can't be with the mom.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess with me no more. So forget them kids then. Like, it ain't about the kids all the time for real. But
that's so real.
People need to be more focused on what, at the end of the day, what matters the most. And, if that's where we're at, that's all that does matter is the kids. Man.
Not necessarily.
You don't think so?
That vagina matters.
Oh my goodness.
That's why they like, I go make it. No.
But I'm saying, like, if you really trying to be with me, I really trying to be with you, but we have kids.
Yeah.
How I feel about you personally and vice versa really shouldn't matter.
But it takes such a long time to get to that point. It takes so long to get to that point.
Yeah, I think a lot of that gets intertwined.
Ooh. I love that you brought that up. Yes. Before we're out of here, we have to talk about this.
What part?
Men using their dick as currency.
Oh my goodness.
As currency?
As currency.
Expound.
There are a lot of men that, and I see this daily in my work, where they will feel like, I have to go spend the night. I got to lay up in order to see my kids. I got to pretend to want to still be with her.
Just to see the kids?
To be in my kids' lives, to stay off of child support, or to, be, in a safe place with her. So I got to go put it down a couple times here and there. And then what happens when he gets into a new relationship or somebody else is around and you're still trying to do that, then there's tensions and all, what I mean? But let's talk about that. I think that some men feel like if I go and sleep with you, or keep this, 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of a thing, then I'm safe, or I can keep my relationship with my kids, or I can stay off of child support.
So it wasn't sex for me. We were just, whatever, I ain't gonna go down that road. But it wasn't sex that made me, I felt like I had to be extra nice though.
Yeah.
Just to keep the relationship, keep the peace. So whatever, like we all going to dinner. Oh, you come on too. I'm buying. We at the mall. Oh, come on, you want some too? So I did that a whole lot to feel like I had to just make her happy to appease her, just to keep the peace across the board. So it wasn't sex, but I definitely did
do things to cater toward her emotion. Yeah,
I had my own currency in that space.
I definitely did some of that as well. Not just because I was so like she has such a advantage, like if she gets mad, she'll take them away. She's shown me this already. So it's like, what you say, whatever you do, keep the peace. Okay, if you're okay, whatever you want to do. Like I definitely like bowed out a lot with a lot of things, just so I can maintain what I thought I had. So it was never a sex thing at all. Place. It was never like that. Like not with neither one of my kids' lives. Yeah, I mean.
But have you guys heard that, or like be around people that you like? Yeah, he's still.
I've heard that before with just guys messing with girls.
Yeah.
Not their
kids children's
much.
Mother.
Like,
I think they're afraid to say it.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're afraid to say that that's what I'm doing. I really don't want to be with her. I'm over it.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Yeah, that might be very hidden.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
You're not messing with this girl just for the kids. Like you want to mess with her.
You still want to.
Yeah, you want to mess with her.
Yeah.
You want something connection wise with her still.
You will be so surprised.
Really?
Women do that? Like they hold the kids over their head for sex?
What?
That's crazy.
That don't even sound realistic to me.
That's crazy.
Do you know, I have heard stories, and this is from older women, where they will say, I had no relationship with my dad. I barely knew my dad, but he used to come spend the night. My mom wouldn't even let us see him. We would know he was in the house, but he would come spend the night with her. What is that about? Right?
And he had no dealings with the kids?
Right.
My dad did that before when I was younger. I think that was more of just I think that was more of him trying to like mark his territory or make sure ain't nobody else over here.
It could be.
Yeah.
But from women, it could be more of, if I allow that, maybe he'll come back. If I leave the door open.
Yeah.
If I'm available when when there is a booty call, then if I play that role, maybe he'll come back.
I just can't imagine being for sex though, not for sex though.
But then when you say it like that, versus like, just give me the dick, nigga.
Yeah.
Versus,
but there are some.
But like, if you're trying to like, you're keeping that window open just to try to bring the family back.
That could my family. I could definitely see that
because again, this is before I got a girlfriend.
Yep.
Like we did
make that clear.
We did mess around and it was open outside. Like we're done, but so maybe.
Yeah, where you just
do you feel like she was dangling that over you? Like
she wasn't dangling, but it was available.
Right.
Yeah. Because there's a safety, around like or familiarity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I might not even want you. I feel like women, like once the woman ends it, like they really just made that decision.
Right.
But I might be doing some other stuff over here. I'm not feeling this new guys like that, but I know you. I know what to expect. I know how you make me feel.
Yeah.
So I will go back and forth with you.
Yeah.
But then when it goes back out, once that's over, I still want to live my life and move the way I want to move.
Yeah.
Whereas I think guys are more like let's make it work, or
Really?
Yeah,
I
for
was
sure.
crying so hard.
What?
You don't believe me? But I will say, in that space, I know how to play. I know how to play. I could be a little petty, and so when we were done, I was like, I'm gonna be extra dad to make her feel like you want this family back. I took Christmas photos. I took family photos.
Man.
I took multiple family trips. I let her know what's happening, but you can't come. But you want to be here, but you can't come.
That's what
Yeah.
you're missing.
This what you missing.
Mhm.
I was like, this what you missing. God, I'm in the pictures and smiling so hard, like, yeah. And
Dad of
so
the year.
I did play that game like,
But see, again, this
Yeah.
is more about her.
Yeah.
It's not really even about. I'm using me as a dad
I
and
love
our
my
kids.
kids.
Of course you do. But I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to.
yeah.
I'm trying to shit on you a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that'd be more the
Of the energy or
more
the
so than anything.
vibe
Yeah,
of
I think
like
a lot of times. Yeah, I do feel that way.
I can say a lot of young men that come through our organization will share that they're still going over and sleeping with their kids' moms in order to stay off of child support,
Mhm.
in order to get a restraining order, lifted.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
like they're still going over, and there's a active restraining order against them.
That's wild.
Yep.
I see that often.
I can see that.
Yep. So they're like coming to the organization
Mhm.
because they cannot exchange their children with the mom because of there being
Because
a
of
restraining order or a
Mhm.
harassment order.
Mhm.
But mom is still calling.
Yep.
We'll be in a coaching session. She's still texting them. She's still calling them.
She's going against She's going against the restraining
against-
order that's in her
Yes. Yes. And saying like, are you coming over? Are you going to spend the night?
Mhm.
So it is for them a lot about, I want you in relationship with me and
The
not
mom.
caring. Yes.
Mhm.
And not caring as much about what I'm doing to you
Mhm.
to keep you away from your children. So if you're not acting like you want to be with me, because this is the other thing, as soon as they get a new girlfriend, then
Oh, it's a problem. Everything's a problem.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Everything's a problem at that point.
That was a fear of mine too. Like if I move on,
yeah.
will it turn up a little bit? Like because life has happened and what you thought was gonna work didn't work.
Yes.
But now I'm moving on. I know because I'm a fantastic guy. It's gonna work,
Okay.
and I'm
Most definitely.
gonna be even better to this person than I was to you
Most
because I've
definitely.
grown and learned, and you hurt me.
Yes.
So how you gonna feel? And so I like, all right, I'm moving on. I was so quiet about it. Like, you better not post me, girl. You better post me because I don't want to. And I remember I took my current girlfriend to Paris.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I called hell.
Ooh,
You ain't never took me nowhere. You left at the wrong time.
man.
So in that
Jump too
space,
quick.
you feel like I gotta play these games to keep the man. I'm sorry, little dudes, y'all gotta go through that.
See?
Yeah.
By any means necessary,
any means
right?
necessary.
It's like, and we're not talking about the fact that men are doing a lot of things in order to stay in their children's lives, rather than we're hearing it more or less like, oh, you're a single mother and you've got so much on you and you're,
Yeah.
taking it all like a champ, and dad's over there kicking it,
Is that
going to
perception?
Paris and
Going
stuff.
to Paris, you ever having a good time? Like, no.
Yeah.
Deep.
It don't be sweet. It don't be sweet all the time. It can't. I mean, that's nice.
And I love that you are saying to the fact that, even though the moms take on the majority of the role, again, it wasn't that wasn't the plan. It wasn't the so you can't be mad at me because the plan didn't unfold.
Mhm.
And we adjusted the best way we could. So send the kids to me if you want to, fine.
Yeah.
But other than that, this is what comes with the decisions that you make.
Absolutely.
You have to you have to take them to the doctor. You have to do these things when it's your time or whatever.
And you get the benefits of that. Like, you get to make the decisions. You get the tax returns.
You get the tax money.
That's a whole episode is
You
taxes.
get the tax money. You're getting child support. So you're getting all this money every month. That don't even count. That don't even affect you. Like, that's just like untaxed income for you. You're getting all the stuff. You get all the power. So you signed up for that. You made a decision. Now there's some things that come along with that you might not necessarily like or agree with. I feel like that's your decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it ain't gonna be all exactly the way you want it to be for you. Like, that's not realistic. So, people make their decision. You made your choice. You gotta accept it. You made that bed, you gotta lie in it. So,
What's the biggest support that you've had? Who and how did it show up? Like supporting you to be a father, to be present in your journey of by any means necessary. Where was your source of support?
I guess my mom for me.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, man. My mom. And she never sugarcoated it.
Yep.
She, she's just like, this where you at now. So you not gotta do this or now you did that. They're gonna start being this way. And she never missed. She's always spot on. You need to go buy you a house now. I'm 19. You need to go buy a house because you about to be so messed up. They finna start taking all your money. At least if you got a house, you have something to write off. Like, okay, like whatever. Buy a house at 21. I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. She was right.
Yeah.
She was right, man. I was so messed up, like financially. I owe so many taxes. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Just claiming 13 all year long. Exempt. Just to have enough money to pay the bills.
Right.
Like
to make it.
Barely. Like for real. Like I'm talking about.
And getting shitted on when you making it look good though. Like when you're still living and having a good time with what you're dealing with.
Struggle.
Yeah.
Like for real. Like
you can't make it look sexy.
I can't even, man, I think I foreclosed, kicked out your own house, locks changed. I'm out the house for like a week.
Wow.
I'm at my mom, give me money, stay in a hotel. Man, it's crazy. Some of the stuff.
Any means necessary.
Gotta make it happen. And I'm like, no matter what, it ain't the kids' fault. Like they don't need to know what's going on. Yeah. They don't need to feel it. So we say we're going out to eat. I'm gonna still take out to eat or whatever. Are we gonna go to the park? We still gonna do that or whatever. Yeah. Whole time figuring out I ain't got no lights at the house.
Yeah.
Man.
I ain't got no lights.
Bruh. Man.
Like it's deep.
I went so long with no, what was it? I had lights, so I didn't have no gas. But it happened in like the summer.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that big of a deal. But it started getting cold. I had no heat.
Tight on you.
What? The space heater. I'm in all I have is my bedroom.
Yeah.
Close the door. Man, I'm like, I gotta hear me and figure out something. Cause now it's the cold weather time of year. Pipes freezing. Man, I don't know. I don't even know how I got out of that one. I think my mom pulled some miracle.
Helped you.
Yeah, but yeah, she's definitely a big supporter the whole time. If there's ever a thing where I needed to work my other job, she watched them or, anything. So not even close.
Yeah.
I can't even,
Mom.
Whole time.
That's it.
Whole time.
I love it.
Yeah, P. What about you?
Man, I gotta share a story now.
Okay.
Because
yes.
The lights off and you just like, man, Lord, why am I going through this? I remember Christmas Eve. I had finally got we moved, we broken up. I got my apartment in Georgia. I had an apartment here too, but I'm going back to Georgia with the kids. I get there and Christmas Eve, day before Christmas, my entire apartment is flooded. Flooded. I get there, flooded. The next door pipe burst, leaked into mine. And I'm like, I just like, God, why am I going through that? I was hot.
Yes.
I'm ready to get there. Now, me and my kids, we all just in this one part of the apartment because I can't get a hotel. I'm like, I ain't got, it's tight right now.
Yeah.
And so we just like in this one dry part of the apartment. I was hot. I was so hot. So those struggle moments, you like, why am I even going through this?
Yeah.
Why am I even going through this?
Yeah.
I'm paying 2 rents, all this stupid stuff.
Right.
What?
But in this season, that I was of this part, I would say more so my friends who were going through with me because we're all dads, we're all coming out of marriage, and we're all trying to figure it out together. And so we're just always just encouraging each other, uplifting each other.
Yeah,
it's just that was and my sister too, but more so my guys was like, man, you got this, bro. And
that's great.
That was really
right?
important.
That's great.
I thank you so much for sharing that because just breaking and busting a myth right there that men show up for each other.
That's a fact.
You can vent, you can get support.
Yeah.
Because a lot of men do hold their emotions in, the feelings that they're going through in, and don't, really communicate what's going on with them because they feel like they have to be strong and tough. So it's okay to talk. Yeah. It's okay to share because your homeboy's probably been through.
I love talking.
Everything you
get that stuff out.
Experiencing.
Yeah, get it out. You need that.
I done said at the love shop with bringing my son to get a haircut, and I would just tell him my whole. He'd be like, "For real, Pete? Really?" For real? And I was telling you, when we went to Cancun, we're all 3 going through, and we're just in Mexico having a good time, but crying our hearts out like, God, how do we fix this? We're all going through the same thing, bro. We're just figuring it out together. So I believe in brotherhood for sure and just helping get through hard times and things like that.
I'm glad that he had that.
Yep.
I didn't have that because I had my kids way before all my friends. Way before. Like some of them is just starting to have kids now. All
Right.
old. Y'all tripping. But
Tripping.
so y'all it was like, you can't feel my pain.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, y'all can't relate. Y'all ain't got no kids. Y'all live at home. Everything's sweet.
Right.
Y'all go to the club every night, blow your check every week, come right back, do it again. Like, man, I'm really trying to figure some stuff out here. So I didn't have a lot of outlets, you know, as far as peers were concerned.
Yeah.
You know, I just didn't. And yeah, man, it was just like kind of like sink or swim almost. Like,
wow.
You better figure out something real fast or it's going to get real ugly, you know? And to hear that is great.
Yes.
I would try, and they would try. I think they would try too, but it's
like, you don't know what I'm going through.
But then at a younger age, we had that, man, tighten up mentality. Like, man, tighten up.
I'm that guy, though.
Huh?
I'm that guy.
Tighten up
guy?
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm that guy for everybody else who's man, quit crying, man. Get over it. Like, it'll be all right. It ain't that bad. But I'm like, man, I need something right now.
Man.
But I can't get that right now because it wasn't fair to them to even expect them to be there for me because they just weren't at that point in life yet. We're young. Like, I had all 3 of my kids by the time I was 21. You know,
dang, that's a real realization. But you know, okay, this is the other thing though. 3 children by the time you were 21. Pierre, you were how old when you got married?
24. Yeah.
Right. So still, you know, still family. Yeah. Really, really young. And I think I was 21 when I found out I was pregnant. So I had my son at 22.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? It's like what
we're babies still.
We're tripping.
Jumped in like
he's married.
Yeah, he was married.
I just got married.
So I had
2 years
3 kids. So I had 3 kids. Yeah. So yeah, by my youngest one was a flower. Well, I put her out the way and she was trash. But yeah, so I had all 3 of my kids were at my wedding, and then Jenny came. So yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Deep. Okay, last question before we go. Do you feel like the women in your lives, mothers in particular, have ever spared your feelings? So if you were going through some things, you know, the struggle moments, did they ever like look out for you, make you feel like I have some compassion? There is some, you know.
The children's mother?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
So we have a really good co-parenting relationship.
Awesome.
Now. We have those moments where he's like, don't text me, don't call me, shut up talking to me.
Yeah.
But overall, it's working out.
Awesome.
I won't complain. It can be a lot worse.
Yeah.
So I don't even have space to complain. So no, she hasn't made it hard on me for the most part.
Yeah. So she does spare.
Yeah.
You.
I feel.
And Lavorne was like, "What? The children's mothers?"
No, I give Val some credit. Latrell's mom, she went to court one time, and it was some man. They took my barber's license, driver's license. I can't get no passport. All this stuff because of back support and stuff. So every once in a while, you gotta go back and do your order over again.
Yeah.
Get your stuff reinstated. So she went with me. The girl's mom was in Atlanta, so she's on a conference call. And she's just saying all this horrible things or whatever. And Val spoke up. She's like, no, he's not like that. He's a great dad. He's a great dad to our son, his daughters. He's a great dad to my daughter. That's not even his daughter. And I know we've been having him pay all this money, but he don't owe all this for real. And she got rid of all the back support that I owed her.
Yes.
All of it.
That's dope.
I was so choked up.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, we always been cool, but she just gets my nerves. Like, as a mom.
Yeah.
She makes, but she's young too. She's
she was young. Yeah.
She didn't know no better, but she just didn't make the best decisions, but we got a decent relationship.
Yeah.
And so that was cool. I feel like the damage was already done, so it didn't matter. But, and as far as the girl's mom, she lowered the order one time. Like, instead of giving me $800 a month, you can give me $500. Like, I said, I pay you. They grown. So she's like, well, I did you a favor. I'm like, I guess, that was a nice gesture, but why'd you do what Val did? Just get rid of it. Like, they're grown now.
Right.
They're grown. So she said, I would rather die with you owing me than me get rid of any of that money that you owe me.
Dang.
I would rather die with you owing me.
And you're quoting her, I know.
These are word for word.
Yes.
Than me removing a penny of what you owe me.
On a t-shirt or something.
I was like, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Pierre's like, that could
so,
go on a t-shirt.
She's a very,
yeah,
strong-minded individual. So she meant every word of that.
Yes.
And I know it. And she's sticking to it to this day. And that's cool. But, I just think everything's come full circle.
Yeah.
this wasn't your question, but so what I'm saying is
Right.
anyway. All that sacrifice, all that struggle, all that, it hardened you. It made you, it built up, perseverance and stuff. So fast forward to now, I think I'm a better man because of all this.
I love it.
Yeah, I think that it helped me have a better understanding of this life and, what's important and what's not, and being responsible and never, like, if you have goals and dreams, nothing's far-fetched. You can do it. It might be some stumbling along the way, but it's reality.
Yep.
So now, current speaking, like the way life is for me now, all that stuff is my reality.
Yeah.
And all the other bad things what I perceive as bad, that's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
So it still served a purpose. It sucked or whatever, but I probably wouldn't be able to be how I am now if it wasn't for me going through all everything. So
that's it. I cannot think of a better note to end our show on today than to say that amazing takeaway that the adversity of being a father by any means necessary builds character, it builds strength. Both of these men have taken these obstacles and turned them into businesses. The grit, the tenacity that they have, and the way that they've shown up and be fathers makes them great businessmen, right? It makes them wonderful in the roles that they have now in their lives. And so it is absolutely worth it to stick in there, to stay, to be a father by any means necessary, and know that being a father means that you are building up transferable skills that can lead you to being an amazing realtor, an amazing business owner, barber extraordinaire, comedian. These men are doing all of these amazing things in their community and being great supports to their children. So it's not over. It's not over. Co-Parenting Confessions, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. We will have to have you back. This was great. This is so great.
Thank you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
By any means necessary. That was great.